What is up, guys? Live with Pro Play Games here with the Store Championship Fuse Zamasu deck. Remember, guys, Store Championships are a special type of tournament, special type of format that you can actually take place with at your local game store if you're lucky enough to have one in full operation. And it only allows you, though, playing with the brand new Rise of the Unison Warrior set 10 cards restricted. Now, you can play with the tournament pack promos, but you can't play with like championship pack promos or any cards that are not in that set 10 block. So that does make for a pretty unique format, honestly. Fuse Zamasu still a very strong choice for this format. We've seen a lot of Shenron dominant in this format, and I like this deck because it does have a little bit of game against that Shenron deck, as well as a lot of other decks, and you get to play the full both sides of the chain. You'll see the Zamasu chain and the Goku Black chain. Also, don't forget to check out the Patreon, PPG DBS. The links will be down in the description down below if you want to see more competitive content. We just posted a very competitive March of the Great Apes deck. I know we posted the budget version, the $100 to $200 version on the YouTube, but we posted the super competitive all-out version on the Patreon, as well as a bunch of other great content if you guys are trying to take the game seriously. So without further ado, let's get into it. We played Fuse Zamasu on the front side. When it attacks, draw a card. It could attack anything, and then pretty cool ability. It could either awaken at the standard 4 or less life, or you can actually get to 4 energy momentarily for the turn, which is going to be really easy in this deck, and then awaken straight from there. And that's usually our main awaken condition. We get to that, we kind of like accelerate to that that 4 energy for 1 turn. We awaken, and then from there we kind of just ride it out on the flip side. So on the flip side, he's really powerful. We got Fuse Zamasu Divine Ruinbringer. And this one's pretty unique because it's an auto once per turn draw. Well, not once per turn. Sorry, that's what makes it so powerful. It's just auto attack, draw a card. So you can actually do this if it attacks 2 times in the turn or 3 times, you can draw a card for each time. So that's really powerful. And then it's activate main. This one's once per turn. You sacrifice any energy, and you can go ahead and choose 2 different effects, right? Like you can go and give it dual attack, which is 90% of the time. That's what we're going to be doing. Or you can actually choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. So this is pretty good. It doesn't go around barrier, unfortunately, but being able to kind of have that instant removal whenever you need is extremely good. Now, giving up an energy is a pretty high price to pay, not gonna lie, but we do have a pretty good engine that will allow us to use this ability consistently every turn without losing any type of sort of advantage. So that's it for the leader, and please keep in mind that this whole deck is only set 10 stuff, so it's obviously not optimal. It's not playing like the Ubunis and other powerful meta cards that you can be playing like Sentubine and stuff like that. But we are locked into set 10, and this is a great start off for a lot of new players. So we got Zeno, Edge of Space here, and that's going to be our super combo of choice. Now, there's another super combo that you can be playing from this set as well, which I believe is the Sun Gohan Accelerated Slam. Now, that one I think requires you to be at 4 life or less. This Zeno, you can just play it on turn 1, draw a card, which is really what I really like about this super combo, because it's one that you can just cast off the bat, and you do see yourself with some energy that you want to use up, and you'll kind of see why later, and that's why I like the Zeno a lot. I mean, you don't usually end up using its ability to kind of like swap an energy, because you do have that option when you combo it off board. What you really end up using it is just a 1 energy cantrip, which is just pretty much a card that you just use to draw a card to kind of find what you need, because you really do need a very powerful piece to start this engine. So I love playing as many of those 1-drops to kind of get your engines going as soon as possible. So that's why I chose Zeno as a super combo of choice. Now, next card we're playing is the My Bulwark of the Future, and I like this card a lot because once again, it's a 1-drop that kind of accelerates and helps you find what you need to find, because you really need to find an engine maker in this deck, and you'll see that in just a moment. But My allows you actually to check the top 5 cards of your deck for a specified cost 2 unison, which we only play 1. But more importantly, it also searches for a Trunks Future, which is the only Trunks that we play in this deck are Trunks Future, and you'll be able to see the different targets now. But she's very good because it first and foremost gets you the card that I was talking to you about, which really makes the whole deck go, which is our Zeno Cosmic Unison. This card is just incredible. It does everything for the deck. Activate main, with the +2, you can go ahead and get one of your energy from the top of your deck and just add it to your energy until the end of the turn. Now, when you do this, you can't place energy in your energy area in any other means other than by, you know, just charging at the beginning of your turn. So it's kind of got a little bit of restriction because you won't be able to play the other cards that we'll see later in the deck in the same turn. But this plus is so powerful because remember, that energy, you can do whatever you want with it. At the end of the turn, if it's not there, it's not there. But at the end of the turn, if it is there, it goes away. So it is within your best benefit to actually use your Fuse Zamasu effect to sacrifice that same energy that you got off the top of your deck and give it, you know, dual attack normally, or be able to remove a threat. So this is kind of like what gets your whole engine going. As soon as you awaken, you're able to get that leader to essentially just say draw 2 cards, or you can kind of think of it as Zeno plus ability drawing you a card and your leader attacking and drawing you a card. You can see it either way. You're drawing 2 cards a turn, which is extremely powerful. Now you do always have that -5 ability on Zeno as well, which allows you to kind of just reset that board. It only really targets the cards of the battle area, so it won't target obviously the unisons. But it does allow you to bypass barrier, which is pretty powerful. Just in case they kind of get overwhelming with the board presence, you always have that ability to kind of just hit that reset button, which is what Zeno's always kind of known for, which is awesome. And yeah, I mean, the card's very good. The only downside is that Zeno's only, you know, 9k power, which is very easy for opponents to kind of just target him and knock him out pretty easy. Now, the other Trunks feature that we play, and this is not the only copy, but is the SS Trunks God Sealing Technique. Now, this card's extremely good. This is one of the best free counterplays available. Now every color has its own, and this one's extremely good because it can instead of your opponent playing that card, it will go back to their hand as long as you have a unison with 2 or more markers on it. So the Zeno, as you know, comes out with 2. It pluses 2, so it goes immediately to 4, and that's a lot. Your opponent already has to commit 3 attacks to get it down below 2 counters so that you shut off a God Sealing Technique. But the God Sealing Technique will normally always be live because being able to commit 3 attacks so early to a unison is not very common. So that's what makes Trunks so powerful, because the +2 on Zeno makes it very easy for it to kind of get it out of harm's way to the point where you always have a God Sealing Technique available to you. And remember, this can be searched off that My Bulwark that we were talking about at the beginning. Now, there is another great Trunks card that you can be playing, but it is a tournament pack promo, and those are extremely expensive and extremely hard to get, especially if you don't have a local game store. So we are playing the SS2 Trunks for a Brighter Future. Now, this is also a Trunks name. This is a Trunks Future name. So because it's a Trunks Future name, it will allow us to get it off the top of our deck with the Mai if we end up finding it. So with this Trunks, we do end up having a total of 10 different targets to get with our Mai off the top 5, which increases the probability of us hitting, which is what we want to do. We obviously don't want to spend 1 energy and miss with Mai. So it kind of helps us round out that number. And if you do have access to the tournament pack Trunks, definitely play that over it. But I do like this Trunks because it can actually finish off a game. The activate battle once per turn, double blue. This card can, in the middle of combat, literally in the middle of combat, you can pay that 2 blue and give a triple strike and plus 10k power. So it'll go up to 30k. Also, if you have a unison, it comes down for 2. So you can actually cast this guy for 2 energy. And then with that other 2 energy that you saved, you can go ahead and give it plus 10k and triple strike. So for 2 energy, you're getting a 30k. I mean, for 4 energy, sorry, total, you're getting a 30k triple striker. That's pretty good. Remember, this guy's unique, so you can only control 1 copy of it on the board. Most of the time, you'll be using it as energy, but it's always great to have that kind of like outside win condition available to you to kind of close out those games. And remember, you're blue, so you're not dealing a lot of damage in this deck. So it's always great to have a finisher like Trunks. Anyways, next card we're playing is another 1-drop, and this is another kind of card that will help you find the pieces that you need to for the multiple chains that we're playing, right? So this one's actually only going to help us with 1 of the chains, and this is going to help us with the Zamasu chain, because this Gowasu specifically looks at the top 7 and gets you a Zamasu. So this one digs 2 cards deeper than the Mai, and I believe we have a total of 12 targets for this one. So we actually, the chances of us missing with this Gowasu is much lower than the Mai. I believe just because of the top 7. But regardless, both of these we play a significant amount of targets for, just so that we can get to what we're looking for. And this Zamasu chain is absolutely disgusting. Starting off with the 1-drop. 1-drop is the Cosmic Trader. Now the Cosmic Trader, when it comes into play, you can go ahead and take the top card of your deck and add it to your energy temporarily for the turn. Now if that energy were to go away, you're going to have to sack off another energy. So it's not as good as a Zeno in a way, where you can't play the Zamasu, take that energy, and then sack it off to your leader and have no repercussions. You still need to take that energy, a random energy, whichever of your choosing, out at the end of the turn. So it doesn't act as Zeno, but it's specifically good because to awaken on turn 2, say you have 2 blue energy, you can play a Zamasu, hit the top card of your deck, blue, and then you'll have 2 blue left. Then you can go ahead and play a Zamasu, a Zeno unison, and then the Zeno unison will add another energy, and now you have 4 total energy because the Zamasu empty 1 and the Zeno empty 1, and now you can awaken as early as turn 2. So that's pretty much the little combo play to kind of get things going. And then past that, this Zamasu is going to help you Patora later on. You'll see the fusion that we're playing in the deck in order to kind of like give you additional value from this Zamasu if you were to draw like later in the game or whatever the case is. The next part of the chain we play is the Fuse Zamasu Advocate of Evil, and this one's a little bit harder to get out. It is a 5-drop. You normally don't want to pay the full 5 energy for it because it does have a Union Patora skill. So with a blue Zamasu and a blue Goku Black, no energy required. You can actually put those both on top of each other and play this. And they do need to be on the board though, so you need to have a Zamasu and a Goku Black on the board, though he does have a permanent that if you have 3 or more energy, you can use battle cards in your energy when choosing cards to Union. Now this is a pretty risky move because remember, you're going to be losing that energy indefinitely. So if you do happen to have that Zamasu and Goku Black in your energy, you're essentially giving up 2 turns worth of charging to bring out this Fuse Zamasu. So you kind of want to be a little bit kind of just make sure that you know that before you actually commit to it. Normally it's okay in this deck to just use the Zamasu that you have on board, that 1-drop that's been lingering. You want to use that and maybe like a Goku Black from your energy. That's ideally the best way that you want to bring this guy out. By just using set 10 cards. I mean, if you used other cards, you can use like Countdown to Destruction and make it a little bit easier for you to summon this. It's not as easy in this version without kind of setting yourself back. Nonetheless, that ability is still there. Now the next card that we play, and the reason why we're going into that 5-drop there, it just has indestructible, but what's the reason, right? The reason and the payoff is this Fuse Zamasu, the Divine Immortal. This is the 9-drop. This is what you play the deck for. This card is extremely powerful because not only does it have 35k base, it's indestructible as well, just like its 5-drop version. And to bring it out for 4 energy, you need to EX evolve it over the Zamasu that we just showed before, the 5-drop, and that's the only target in this specific meta. To kind of bring it out for almost nothing. Now this one is pretty powerful because it not only does it have a 35k base, but it has dual attack. Like I mentioned, it does have indestructible, so it won't be leaving the board, and it has an activate main and battle, so you can do it either or. You can place this card in the drop area and you can activate a Tragedy Overground from your hand, drop area, deck, or energy area, then shuffle your deck. So that card's very good. So obviously until we read that card, you're not going to know exactly how powerful this card is, but nonetheless, this card is going to be great at not only removing counters from your opponent's unison, but putting a lot of pressure and closing out that game. 35k is no joke, so being able to have access to a monster like this is extremely good. Now, this is why would I ever get rid of the Fuse Zamasu Divine Immortal, right? What is the payoff, right? So the payoff is this card right here, and this bad boy really puts a nail in the coffin of Shin Shenron and some other decks. There's not many decks that can actually play around this though, unless you're playing a very low cost cards. Now, Tragedy Overground, this card is a field spell. It's 9 energy, so that's why you're really never gonna play this card unless you actually get rid of your Divine Immortal for the Tragedy Overground. And this card's a doozy. This card says it can't be removed from your opponent's battle area by the skills of your opponent's battle cards. 2, when your opponent plays a battle card with energy cost of 4 or more, it's placed in the owner's energy in rest mode instead. Not even in active mode, just in rest mode. So they can't play anything energy cost 4 or more, effectively, because if not, they're just ramping themselves. Then, if this card, when this card is activated, choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them in your opponent's energy in rest mode. So this card, technically, if you remember the last one, it's an activate main or battle. So that means in the middle of battle, offensively or defensively, we can sack off our Divine Immortal, bring out this Tragedy Overground, the auto will activate, and everything from the board will get swept up from your opponent, including his battle card that's in the middle of possibly KOing you or you know, just going for lethal. So this card is extremely powerful, especially played at instant speed, and then after that it just has just such an oppressive permanent that it should be pretty simple to close out the game past you know, activating one of these, because remember, your opponent really can't get rid of this card, and then they won't be able to cast cards that are 4 or more. So it's just ridiculous, and it's definitely one of the main reasons why I love the Zamasu chain so much, because you can actually bring out this field card and kind of just pilfer your opponent's entire plans. Now, the second chain that we play in this deck, of course, what's a Zamasu deck without Goku Black? Goku Black, Future Decimator, and I like this guy a lot because he has the activate main that you can just put him into your energy. At any time, you're just like, oh, yep, just place him into my energy. Now, the only drawback is that you can't put anything else in your energy. And then he goes away at the end of the turn. So at the end of that turn, that you put him in your energy free for that turn. This is another way of awakening as well. If for some reason you don't have that Zamasu, or you just have Zeno or something, you can this guy you can just immediately put in your energy. Like if you're at 3 energy and you need to awaken, you can just slap this guy down in your energy, awaken, and then this guy will leave the energy at the end of the turn. But you know, if there's no other way for you to ramp and get to that 4 energy to awaken, that will temporarily do it for you too. So this guy's really good for not only doing that, but 2, why would I want this guy in my energy? Remember, you can also Potara fusion with that Zamasu that we read before. This is a great way to get a Goku Black into your energy just by using his ability without having to charge him for turn. So you can not only charge for turn, but then you can play the Goku Black immediately from your hand into the energy, and then from there you can go ahead and Union Potara into that 5-drop Zamasu by using a Zamasu that you have on board or energy, and then that Goku Black that you just placed there. So the combos are there, and it's extremely powerful. And why do we want this guy other than just doing that? Well, he does have another utility, which is great because he has another purpose than just ramping us, but we want him in our energy because of this big bad boy right here. And you can play this guy as early as I think, like the math, it might be turn 2, I think it's turn 3 at least like the latest. But this guy's 4 energy, and he EX evolves over a Goku Black. So the only Goku Black available in set 10 meta is this one right here. So we need to have this guy pretty much either on board, or he has a permanent that you can actually evolve him from the energy area. So if you have a Goku Black in your energy area, which you will be because of his ability of adding himself to the energy whenever you want, you can pay that 4 energy, including himself from his energy. So he can count himself not only towards this EX evolve, but towards this ability to kind of like go over, and then he'll kind of put himself over that tapped Goku Black into your battle area. His ability will move him to active mode, and if your opponent has 5 or more energy, you blow up 2 of their energy. So, I mean, like, what else do you want? This guy's a 30k triple striker, blows up 2 of your opponent's energies, and he requires almost no setup because you can easily just hold the Goku Black in your hand for when you're ready to kind of just like go off, and then you just go charge him and boom, like it's over. So this guy, extremely powerful for how cheap he is, to be honest. But yeah, that's your second chain. So this guy will eat your opponent's energy, and the other Zamasu will kind of like eat their board. So between both of them, they're actually super competitively viable, and that's super cool to see. Now, the next card we're playing. Now, these last few cards are just tech cards for the store championship. There was not too much to like fill in the rest of this deck with because you're only playing with set 10. So, I mean, you're a mono-color deck and you're only set 10 stuff. So it's like really hard to find exactly everything that you need. So we're playing Absolute Confidence. I like this card because it's an activate main or battle. So it's either or. You can choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 3 or less, return it to the owner's hand, and draw a card. So this can, at worst, be an instant speed draw 1 for 2 energy. And bounce back a card. Maybe that's relevant in some matchups. And then the other one is choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it. And I like that ability a lot because unisons, as you know, have changed up the game. And you can imagine in a set where you're kind of just limited to set 10 stuff, being able to like take off a unison, at pretty much whim, can be pretty game breaking. So I like just splashing a couple of these in the deck just to have that outside potential. And remember, you have a choice between two different effects. Next kind of tech card that we played in the deck was God Slicing Black Kamehameha. And this card's pretty unique because if you have a blue unison in play, you can draw 1. Then if the battle card being played has energy cost 4 or less, it's placed at the bottom of the owner's deck instead of being played. So this kind of acts like an SS Trunks if you don't have SS Trunks in your hand. Now, if all your energy is mono blue, you can actually activate his counter skill by paying, without paying his energy cost, by choosing 2 cards in your hand and discarding them. So effectively, it's kind of like playing this from your hand and discarding 1 because you're drawing 1. So it's not too bad. I mean, it can be useful and clutch against certain decks and certain scenarios. That's why we're only playing 2. But like I said, we had a little bit of wiggle room because we're only playing set 10 stuff. So we decided to play that. And then the Secret Identity Masked Saiyan, and we only played one of this because he is a black color card and we're majority blue color cards. And our Zeno, if you remember, and our Zamasu, I believe too, the 1-drop, both of those cards ramp us from the top of our deck. So imagine how bad it would be to hit a black card off the top of the deck when we're a mono blue deck and we want to use that energy to kind of further our game state. And it's kind of just useless to us because now it's just going to go from the top of our deck to our energy, sit there, and then go to our drop area because it's not within color. So for that reason, we're playing 1 Secret Identity. I mean, it might be good in some matchups, and it's a great overwhelm card, and we're not playing any overwhelm whatsoever. So I figured since, we have such limited options, might as well just play the best overwhelm card, just 1 copy. If we see it, awesome. And the overwhelm 6 is actually not too bad because remember, all that energy is always going to the drop area. So it's pretty easy actually to get this overwhelm online. And then we're playing the 2 Vegeta Savior of the Future. And I like this card because it's just a simple, cheap 1-drop. Again, it digs you a card, so it essentially like draws you a card. The double strike is actually really useful against other unisons. Being able to knock off 2 counters for just 1 energy and kind of like netting a card is really powerful. And if you combine that with the Absolute Confidence, you can take away 3 counters with just 2 cards and just 1 attack technically. And yeah, I mean, the card is just seems pretty good. Also, going for game, remember, you have a triple striking Goku Black, but then being able to have just a 1 energy double striker can be really clutch, especially when you're trying to close out the game at the end of it, or if your opponent is stalling you out and, you're awakened, but you're still at like 8 life or 7 life or 6 life, which happens a lot. You can actually use this guy to offensively take that life and just put more pressure on your opponent as they try to stall you out. And then, of course, it's set 10 meta. So we only have 3 secret rare options, 2 of which we can't play. So we're obviously playing the only one that we can, which is the SS4 Gogeta Peerless Fusion. And you don't really need this if you don't have access to it. Otherwise, this deck can kind of be played, you can just use this deck in like normal tournaments and stuff like that. And it would be quite the budget deck, to be honest. This is the only thing that would probably keep it, will take it out of budget range. But if you have it, definitely jam it. I mean, set 10 championships are only set 10 cards. There's no reason not to include a secret rare if you have access to one. But that pretty much does it, guys. This is once again, this is the deck that took us to a 2nd place finish. We lost to Shenron in the finals against Justin Rios, fantastic player. And otherwise, this deck performed very good. And it does have a pretty strong matchup against a lot of the decks in the format. If you're planning on playing this deck just in like a standard format where it's not just set 10, it still does extremely well. Definitely tune it up with some cards that you can play like Sentu Bean and some other cheap alternatives. Otherwise, there's a lot that this deck got just in set 10 that's just really good for people who just want to pick up a deck for really cheap. So that pretty much does it, guys. Thank you again for watching the video. Till next time.